Let me ask you something, but answer from the deepest, most honest place inside you. Look around at the people in your life right now. How many of them, when you really think about it, make you say, yes, this is it. This soul is good for mine. This is someone worth walking through life with. This person is a treasure. And here's the harder question, the one that actually stings. How many people have already walked out of your life? Maybe people you pushed away yourself. People whose worth you never recognized until it was too late. Where you've caught yourself thinking, what was I thinking? How did I let that person go? I should have never lost them. If even one face came to mind just now, hold on to that feeling, because by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why it happened and exactly how to make sure it never happens again. Life is one giant masquerade ball. Every face wears a social mask, a persona, carefully constructed for the world to see. Behind the smiling faces, there's jealousy simmering underneath. Beneath the sweet words, there's calculation. Behind the compliments, there's a hidden agenda. In the middle of all that noise, recognizing what's real, what's genuine, what's worth more than gold is almost impossible. Sometimes the diamond is sitting right there in the mud, and we walk right past it, chasing shiny pieces of glass that are worth absolutely nothing. Why does this happen? Because the darkness inside us, our own shadows, our own unhealed wounds, blind us from seeing the truth clearly. So today, I'm going to walk you through the 9 golden character traits, the ones that, if you find them in someone, you hold on tight and you never, ever let go. But this isn't some checklist for shopping around for the perfect person. Listen closely, because this goes much deeper than that. Through the towering wisdom of Carl Jung, this is going to become your guide for reading the signs of true spiritual maturity, the markers of someone walking their individuation journey, someone closing in on their own authentic, unrepeatable self. If you recognize even one of these 9 traits in someone, understand this. You are not standing in front of just a good person. You are standing in front of someone who has faced their own shadow, or, at the very least, found the courage to face it. Someone who doesn't hide behind masks. Someone with depth of soul. Someone worth following on this road called life. And here's a harder truth I need to give you before we go any further. If you want to recognize these traits in others, to attract them, to keep them, you have to turn the lens back on yourself first. This journey isn't just about looking outward. It's even more about looking inward. By the time this video ends, you will see the people around you and yourself through completely new eyes. You will feel, down to your bones, where real value actually lives, and what it takes to become worthy of it yourself. So here is the first sign of that rare golden soul. Sign number 1. Unshakable honesty and transparency. Now listen closely, because this is foundational. When I say honesty, I'm not just talking about someone who doesn't lie. I'm talking about something far deeper. I'm talking about someone who is crystal clear with themselves and with you about their feelings, their thoughts, their intentions, and their mistakes. This is a person who doesn't perform just to please you, who doesn't twist their own truth just to avoid losing you or to win your approval. They'll tell you something you don't want to hear, but they'll say it without cruelty, with honesty intact. They own their mistakes. They don't hide behind excuses, and they don't make you go digging for the truth either, because they hand it to you freely, even when it costs them something. Why does this matter so much? Because it proves this person isn't a prisoner of their own persona, that social mask we all wear. According to Jung, all of us wear masks to fit into society. But the danger is when that mask fuses to our face, when we start believing we actually are the mask. This honest, transparent person is aware of their mask, and when the moment calls for it, they have the courage to take it off and show you their rawest, most exposed self. They say, "This is who I am," every flaw, every fracture included. This is an enormous sign of self-confidence and inner wholeness. They have no problem with their own shadow, the parts of themselves they'd rather not admit to, because there's nothing left to hide. Building a relationship with someone like this feels like walking on solid ground instead of a minefield. You know nothing's being plotted behind your back. You know you won't be lied to, manipulated, or strung along. That feeling of safety, that alone is worth everything. Because so much of what destroys relationships isn't even the big betrayals, it's the slow erosion of trust caused by small dishonesties stacking up year after year. And isn't the world full of people who perform endlessly, who say one thing to your face and something else behind your back, who are different with you than they are with everyone else? If you've found a fortress of honesty like this, do not let it go. It's a rare diamond. Ask yourself honestly, am I that transparent, that honest myself? Write 11 in the comments if you feel this truth land in your chest right now. I am the architect of my own integrity, and I choose honesty as my foundation. Sign number 2, deep empathy and compassion. A soul that feels your pain as its own. Empathy means putting yourself in someone else's shoes. No, it's more than that. Empathy isn't just understanding someone's emotion, it's actually feeling it. I'm talking about someone who can feel your pain as their own pain, your joy as their own joy, in their heart. Without judgment, without giving unsolicited advice, without saying, "I told you so," just being there, sharing that emotion with you. The message of, "I'm with you and I understand you," isn't spoken with words. It's felt through their very presence. This trait is a deep sign of connection to what Jung called the collective unconscious, that universal field of soul where all of us are actually bound together by invisible threads. This person has moved beyond the thick walls of the ego, beyond the separation of me and you, into a consciousness of we. A healthy anima, the feminine archetype within a man, or being at peace with one's own anima in men specifically, nourishes this capacity for compassion and empathy. The tough, emotionless, real men don't cry persona doesn't define this person. Someone who hasn't hidden behind that mask, who can embrace the vulnerability that comes with simply being human, becomes a harbor you can run to in your darkest moments. A fortress of trust where you can confess even your most shameful secrets, because you know they won't judge you, won't shame you, but will simply understand and wrap you in compassion. In our language, we call this a true confidant, someone who divides your pain by sharing it and multiplies your joy by celebrating it with you. If you've found someone like this, never let them go. In this selfish world, a healing soul like that is rare beyond measure. Sign number 3. The courage to take responsibility. Now we've arrived at the real turning point. The one that separates people who can actually go the distance from those who can't. Listen carefully here. The most reliable indicator of someone's character is what they do when they make a mistake, when things fall apart, when the pressure is on and there's nowhere comfortable left to hide. Do they immediately point fingers elsewhere? Is it your fault, his fault, fate's fault, the world's fault? Do they line up excuse after excuse, rehearsed and ready to go? Or do they stop and say, yes, I played a part in this. I made this mistake. This responsibility is mine. Someone capable of taking responsibility is someone who has matured. Jung said that most of our problems come from projecting our own shadow onto others, from seeing our own darkness, the parts of ourselves we refuse to accept, in other people and attacking them for it. The person who takes responsibility is the person who owns their shadow. This anger, this jealousy, this mistake belongs to me. Facing it and fixing it is my job. They don't fall into that endless trap of victim psychology. They don't sit around crying and complaining. They stand up and do what needs to be done. A person like this is a rock. When you set off on a journey with them, you know they won't abandon you halfway through, won't pin the blame on you the second things get hard. They'll shoulder that weight with you, even when it would be so much easier to just walk away. Isn't one of the deepest poisons in relationships the constant blaming of each other? The endless cycle of who started it and who's really at fault. But a partner who takes responsibility asks, what's the problem? And how can we solve this together? This is a true sign of spiritual maturity and individuation. They are a warrior who doesn't deny their own darkness, but faces it head on. Never lose a warrior like that. Every battle you fight alongside them ends in victory, because they're never fighting against you, only ever beside you. Drop 444 below if you're ready to own your part and rise. I take full responsibility for my life, and I trust the process completely. Sign number 4. The constant hunger to learn and grow. The world splits into two kinds of people: those who stay frozen in place, and those who keep evolving. Some people are exactly the same at 70 as they were at 30. The same thoughts, the same beliefs, the same patterns, almost like a living fossil. But then there are those precious souls who treat life like a classroom, trying to learn something from every experience, every mistake, every person they meet. They're open to criticism. They're curious about new ideas. They're not afraid of confronting themselves, of changing, of transforming. This is the individuation journey itself, what Jung saw as the very purpose of life, realizing your own unrepeatable potential, reaching toward your own wholeness, what he called the self. This person is not a prisoner of fixed complexes or rigid thought patterns. Their consciousness stays open to new information rising from the unconscious, to intuition, to dreams. They're not afraid of making mistakes because they know mistakes are part of learning. They are a living embodiment of the hero's journey archetype, constantly stepping outside their comfort zone, into the unknown, and returning each time wiser and stronger. Being with someone like this is never boring. It never settles into monotony, because as they keep growing, you grow right alongside them. You pull each other upward. Their curiosity, their hunger for learning, becomes contagious. You both stay vividly, fiercely alive. Stillness is death. Movement is life. If you've found a soul that's constantly growing, constantly learning, constantly pushing past its own edges, know this: you've found a source that will inspire you for the rest of your life. Never let that source run dry. Comment 520 below if you feel your own growth accelerating right now. I am constantly evolving, and I welcome every lesson life sends my way. Sign number 5. Emotional maturity and self-awareness. What does emotional maturity actually mean? It's someone who, when faced with a problem, can pause and think instead of reacting impulsively. Someone who's aware of their emotions, but isn't a slave to them. They don't burn bridges in a flash of anger. They don't spiral into pointless jealousy. They don't treat every piece of criticism as a personal attack. Why? Because they know themselves. They know exactly why they get angry in certain situations, why certain words cut deep, which of their complexes, which old wounds are being triggered. This is the peak of self-awareness. They know when their inner wounded child is crying out, when that angry shadow surfaces, when that perfectionist persona kicks into gear. And knowing this, they respond with awareness instead of reacting blindly. They don't suppress their emotions, but they also don't become the emotion itself. They can say, "I'm really angry right now because this situation reminded me of an old injustice, but I'm not going to act from that